Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European. Just wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation reads like this. Hello my brother, how are you? I am a man who is aged 34 years old. Please hide my identity and post for me as well. I came to South Africa when I was somewhere around 24 years of age. I think that when I left Zim and when I came here to South Africa, there was something that was done to me by one of my uncles, because when he heard that the very following day I'll be traveling to South Africa, he then came to our place, because at the village where my father built his house, it is just close to the place where his elder brother, my uncle, built his own house. So when he heard this, he then came and he said that, my son, I want us to speak with our ancestors, so that by the time that you would have gone out there to look for something for us to eat, the ancestors are going to bless you. He then took me and he went with me into the forest. But what bothered me is that when we went into that forest, I know that in our culture there is a certain tree that we use when we want to communicate with our ancestors. But this other tree that we went to, my brother, I didn't even know that such a tree can be used when you are communicating with your ancestors, because we went to a tree that is called a Musasa tree. If you ask anyone from Zim if it is possible that you can communicate with your ancestors whilst you are kneeling at a Musasa tree, they are going to be surprised, because the tree that we know that it is used when you are communicating with your ancestors, it is a Mohacha tree. But in this case, me and my father's elder brother, he said that this thing that we were about to do, I was not supposed to tell anyone, otherwise our ancestors, they were not going to answer to our prayers. Since my father's elder brother, he was the one who was the eldest in the family where my father was born, so he is more like a father to the family. So we just went into the bush and he then selected a Musasa tree and we knelt down in front of that tree. Then he started offering some prayers to our ancestors. I think that at the time when he said that I should hand him the money that I was going to use as the transport money when I'll be traveling here to South Africa, that is when he did a lot of rituals that caused a lot of bad luck in my life. At that time, I had 500 rands, so I gave him that 500 rands. Then he placed it before the tree and he started speaking with our ancestors. After he had spoken with our ancestors, we poured a little bit of traditional beer, but we had bought this other beer that is called Chibuku, so we just poured it onto the ground. After speaking with our ancestors, we then returned back home, and again he said that I should not tell anyone that this is what we had done. Then the following morning, when I was about to leave for South Africa, that was when he came and he gave me the money that I had given him the previous day, because he had said that he wanted to place that money in a place whereby the ancestors will be able to bless that money. When he gave me the money, I saw that the money was wet, and he said that I should not be worried, because he had poured some extra traditional beer on that money that I had given him. So I then traveled from Zim, and when I came to South Africa, things were not working out for me, Brother Nashi. I started working by the farms, even though I had my certificates, because I am a panel beater. So I started working around the farms, and when I was working at those farms, things were really terrible. The kind of salary that we were getting, it was almost close to nothing. That was when I met this other man. This guy that I met, he then told me that he had his other brother who was working in Johannesburg. So if we could manage to save up some money so that we can travel all the way from Musina coming to Johannesburg, he said that if we can manage to save up some money, and after that then we can travel from Musina coming to Johannesburg. And that is what we did. After working for a couple of months, that was when that man, but this man, even though he was from Zim, but originally his parents, they were from Malawi. So when we were working on that farm, this man, we used to call him Apiri. So we were like good friends, and he had said that he had his cousins that were there in Joburg, and we planned and we traveled. By the grace of God, even though there were a lot of roadblocks along the way, we were able to reach Johannesburg without anyone stopping us. That was when we started staying with his cousin brothers. But when I started staying with them, they had their own way of doing things. Like, I am from Zim and his cousins, they were from Malawi. So it was a little bit of a cultural shock for me, because I was not that used to their ways. But anyway, I didn't have any money and there was no one who could offer me any kind of accommodation. So I just started doing whatever they will be doing and eating whatever they will be eating on that day. These guys, they used to go around building and renovating people's houses. I started working for the elder guy who was the eldest amongst that friend of mine who had told me that these are his cousin brothers. But the problem is that the older guy, the one who was in control, that guy, he didn't know how to speak properly with the customers. Like, when it came to business, whatever price that was offered to him, he will quickly get it without even negotiating. Like, if he got a contract to renovate a house, then if you would charge something like 20,000, then the owner of the house, if the owner says that no, I can only give you 8,000, then that guy, without complaining or taking into consideration all of the other materials and everyone that will need to be paid so that the job can be done, he never took those things into consideration. He will just accept the deal that was offered to him. So even though he used to get a lot of contracts, but a lot of people, they were taking advantage of him because he was a man known to accept anything that was handed over to him. When I started working with them, I saw that this thing that I was doing, it was just the same. My life was not going anywhere, and we could be working, but at the end of the day, we were getting literally nothing. And if you know guys from Malawi, they are very hardworking, very, very hardworking. So to complain, it was a non-starter. Then that was when I thought of doing my own little thing. That was when I started using my experience as a panel beater at the place where we were staying. I then started repairing people's cars, and a lot of people, after I had done some good jobs, a lot of people started coming to me with their cars because I was really good at spray painting cars. Then there was this other guy. This guy, he was a South African man, and he came and he said that he had his own car that he wanted to fix up, and a little bit of spray painting that needed to be done on his car before he could resell it. When he came to me, I fixed his car, and when he came back, he then took his car and he sold it at a much higher price. That was when he came back and he told me that at their shop, they had to wait for their boss to do their spray painting. So he had told his boss about me, and him seeing how good I was, he had thought that it was a good idea that he takes me to his boss. So when we went there, the boss then immediately hired me after he had seen how much I was of a good welder. So I started working there professionally as a panel beater. I started buying equipment, and during the weekends I'll be panel beating people's car until I thought that I should be independent enough to do my own thing. That was when, at that time, this other company that is called SMD was becoming popular. People were going to SMD buying damaged cars, damaged accident cars. Then they will bring those damaged cars to me. At that time, I had my workshop. It was still in the location, but since I was now getting a lot of customers, I then transferred my little workshop from the location. I was now positioned in town in a very nice place where I used to get a lot of customers. So when I had that small shop, I then returned back to that man. I spoke with with him and I told him that I wanted to go on my own. I wanted to do my own thing, and I just wanted to thank him for the opportunity that he had given to me. So the man that I was speaking with, it was that same man that I had once worked with when we were still in Musina at that farm. He then said, it is okay, but I want you to speak with my cousin brother, that older one that we used to work for. He said that his older brother knew a lot of charms that could make people come to me. So I said, okay, that is what I needed, because at the place where I had my small workshop, there was a lot of competition. Since I was a new business owner, I was also facing a lot of challenges. I then spoke with that man who was from Malawi, the one that I used to work for. So this man then said that he could assist me, but there were some things that he needed. For instance, he told me that he wanted some leaves from this other tree. It is there in Zim. We call it a lucky bean tree. It has some seeds that are small and they are red in color with a black dot like an eye on them. So he said that he wanted leaves and those seeds from that lucky bean tree, and I had to do it as quickly as possible because he had spent so many years living in South Africa and he wanted to return back to Malawi. I then spoke with this other bus driver, those buses that go to Zim, and I then spoke with one of my sisters who was back in Zim, and I told her that she was supposed to make a package that had those leaves and the lucky bean seeds because I needed them as quickly as possible. So the next time that the bus will be passing through our area, she had to go and wait for the bus, and that was what she did. Within a week, the seeds and the leaves, they were here in South Africa. I returned back to that place and I spoke with that older guy that I used to work for. That was when he started performing some rituals. After he had performed those rituals, he then said that I should burn them. So I started burning the leaves and the lucky bean seeds. After that, he said that I had to use the ashes from the items that I had just burned and mix it with the lotion that I'll be using. At that time, I was using Dawn lotion, and he gave me a small stick. I don't know what kind of a tree where he took this stick. He said that he had came with it from Malawi, and he used to assist a lot of his South African customers. And when he had arrived in South Africa, the tree branch was quite a big one, but since he had spent so many years assisting his South African customers, that was why he was left with that small stick that he was giving me. After he had given me that small stick, that was when he told me that when I'll be going around looking for customers, all that I had to do is that I had to place it underneath my tongue, or if I'll be negotiating with a customer, I had to place it underneath my tongue. I then took those items, and as I was about to leave, that man said that I have forgotten to give you something. You know, there's this other animal, it is called a porcupine, that has a lot of thorns on its body. He then gave me 2 thorns that had been taken from that porcupine, and he said that these thorns that I have given you, no one should ever touch them, especially if it is a woman, and they should never be broken because they are the ones that will fortify your business against your enemies. I then said that it was fine. I returned back to the place where I had my little workshop because I was now sleeping in my workshop. I then started mixing the ashes with the Dawn lotion that I was using at that time before I had made money. After I had mixed it, then those thorns that had been given to me, I then took them and I locked them in this other toolbox where I knew that no one was going to touch them. After that, my brother, whenever I would go out looking for customers, I would place that small stick underneath my tongue, and indeed customers were coming to me. After that, I started dating, and after I had started dating, there was this other woman that I was dating. She had a small shop just next door to me. She used to cook pub, but she was a South African. So when I told her that I was in love with her, she then said it is okay, and we started dating. But from the first time that we tried making love, she kept on complaining, saying that she felt as if at the tip of my manhood there was a thorn that kept on stabbing her in the womb, so we could not even enjoy when we were making love. So this caused our relationship not to go anywhere. And my brother, I then started trying to sleep with a lot of women, since now I had the ability to date whomever I wanted because I had a lot of money all the times. But I then started to realize that if I would sleep with a woman, when I would wake up tomorrow, my manhood would be very painful. So I then decided to stop sleeping with women. But this other day, my brother, when I removed my clothes, I saw that my manhood was so swollen, like it wanted to burst. So I thought that maybe this was just an STI. I went to the clinic and they did a few tests on me, and they could not even find out what was wrong with me. They just gave me some antibiotics and some paracetamol. They took some tests and they said that they were going to take it to the lab, and there was a date that was given to me so that I can go back and consult at that same clinic. After I had been given those antibiotics, that very same day my manhood then returned back to normal, but the following day, my brother, it was swollen again. When I woke up, Brother Nash, even though it was swollen, but it was not painful at all, I nearly collapsed to the ground, seeing the things that I had seen on my manhood. When I woke up, Brother Nash, that same thorn that had been given to me by that man from Malawi, I saw that thorn. It was stuck into my manhood. On the tip of your manhood, there is a small hole whereby when you are urinating, your urine will pass through that hole. That is where I saw that thorn that had been taken from a porcupine stuck into my manhood. And this thorn, my brother, it seemed as if it had gone deep into my manhood. Because of fear, I collapsed, because when I tried to pull it out, this thing could not even be pulled up. When I tried touching that porcupine thorn that was stuck deep into my manhood, then it immediately disappeared. From there on, I then started seeing a lot of visions and dreams. There was this other woman that used to visit me in my dreams, but this woman that I was seeing in my visions, she was a white woman, and she used to come. And this woman that I was now seeing, she was a white woman with such long hair. And whenever she would visit me in my dreams, it was always at night. So many years then went by, my brother. But now what started happening is that even during the daytime, I can just see that woman. She will be just sitting in my office and she won't even do anything. And the way that she'll be looking at me, it will be like she will be intimidating me. But for so many years, she has been doing this thing. I don't know if this white woman that I always see, if she is a ghost or a demonic spirit, but she does not speak with me and she does not do anything. Right now, my brother, if I calculate all the way, if I calculate all the years that I have not slept with a woman, right now it is almost close to 4 years. I have never had sexual intercourse with a woman, because the last time that I tried to sleep with someone, then that woman that I was trying to sleep with, she then started crying, saying that she felt that there was something that was stabbing her when I was trying to sleep with her, and I knew that my manhood was the reason why all of these things were happening to her. So I just chose to remain single like this. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me, and we had to try and give you this translation.